Hi, I'm Steven Spencer, and I'm a part-time contractor, a full-time teacher, and I wanted to put this up as far as being a deep dive to my SMART tool trailer. So it's a 6x10. I'm not quite sure of the height. It's probably 68 inches or so. I'm only 5.5, 5 feet. Yeah, 5 feet 5. So I'm only 5.5 feet or so, and so I can fit in this trailer just fine. I'm a Hobbit, and I should be Hobbit Construction, and I can see my badging, Holes R Us for Hobbit Construction. So that being said, the height of the trailer, not so much of a big deal for me to access it. However, I would like a taller trailer just for the actual build aspect of being able to put a little bit more into it. So this is my trailer. I wanted to do a deep dive. I'd like to say I have hundreds of requests for a deep dive, but in truth, I only have like 2 or 3. Plus, I've given a bunch of tours at lumber yards and such when I'm pulling in, and drop the tailgate to put a little bit of material in the aisleway, and then all of a sudden, hey, check that out, and hey, can we walk in, or so it's kind of a interesting novelty to have something like that as well. So here's my deep dive. I will say that I have embarrassingly watched hundreds of hours of videos out there. And with those hundreds of hours of trailer videos, I have always appreciated these trailer videos that all you contractors are putting up, simply because it is really just amazing to see all the ways to organize, all the ways to outfit. Many of them based on Ron Paulk, but many of them not based on Ron Paulk, and have just equally good ideas in different directions. So just really impressed, and I want to thank you for all the content to give me just a wonderful genesis of ideas myself, and a little bit early on just say, hey, I can do this too, that I can outfit something. So in any case, really quickly, let me pull the barn door down here, or the ramp door, give you something to look at while I explain just a couple of things. So there we go. So let me just explain the quick genesis of this particular tool trailer. So I was without a truck last spring in 2019, and my wife and I, who she is also involved in construction a bit. She can swing a hammer with the best of them, but she's more on the design side, running SketchUp and actually doing interior design, and she also does house painting, interior painting. So with all of that, we actually, through friends and family, were able to get a job out of state. I live in upstate New York, and we were able to get a job doing almost like a fix and flip. It was a major remodel out of state. Knowing this, I knew that I was going to have to take all of my tools with me to this job, because it was so far away that we could not easily come back for anything that I forgot, and it was not going to be lucrative enough to actually pay for, if I didn't bring the miter saw, that I could just buy a brand new one. But in all cases, I realized that without a truck, because I was in between trucks, that I would need a tool trailer. So great, okay, so I started looking for tool trailers, and I found a 5x8, looked at that, and then I realized that that was just, it was just way too small. So I landed on the 6x10 to try and not be overly excessive and make sure that my SUV could pull it. My SUV is rated for 7,700 pounds. It's a Volkswagen Touareg, and that's why I bought it for that. So this is no problem for that. I could go a lot bigger trailer and still pull it with that vehicle. But in any case, so I bought the trailer, and it was a case of putting the cart before the horse, or maybe the trailer before the Ron, if you will. That I found the trailer, bought it, hadn't outfitted it yet. I was on Pinterest looking for ideas, and looking probably for just a cool idea for open shelving architecture over here, maybe in the front, and then on this side probably more something like a kind of a neat materials storage idea. So I was just looking for something like that, more than my limited ideas had. And then I found a picture of a guy standing in front of a trailer very similar to this, as far as just the way it looks when you open up the door. And I clicked on the picture. It took me to a website, and the website had a video link, and that video link took me to Ron Paulk YouTube channel. And from there, for me at least, it was history. So I was very impressed with what he was doing with all of his trailers. I dove through all of his videos, the build series, and both of his trailers, or all the series of trailers he's had. Really liked it. Eventually, as the spring got on and summer was getting closer, and I knew that I was going to have to do something, I went ahead and bought his plans. Had them printed out down at Staples, buck a page, 11 by 17. It was fully worth it. Then I brought it home, ordered the materials in, and started to build. After about a week and a half, I was able to get all of the cabinets in on this side, the cubbies in, And this side was different, not too different, but this side was actually different. And so that was like version 1.0. This is like version 1.5. So this side was effectively the same as far as the tool garage being vertical, but down here I actually had a kind of a garage for 6 sawhorses. So basically it was just an open cavity with a shelf, and then 3 horses on top, 3 horses on bottom. And the level garage was there, however. I did have kind of a cubby for some pack outs, and then I had a taller, not quite that tall, but I had a taller cabinet that would be a drawer bank. But unfortunately I ran out of time, and so what happened was I did not have any drawers anywhere. And so that was just open cabinet pockets. And then over here I just had an open cabinet pocket there on that tall one. So it was what I could do. So I went ahead and packed it all up. We went out of state rather, and we did the job. And even in its 2/3 finished condition, this trailer really delivered. It delivered in organization because I did have the cubbies all finished. I did have some limited shelves that I did put in, just kind of sliding shelves in some of the cavities. So I had at least a couple of levels of storage for like hardware and things. And so I was very, very impressed with how often I could come out to this trailer, find what I needed, go back inside. It was fantastic. So I realized I was onto it. You know, I'd found the great idea. Okay, well, at the end of that job, which was just a fantastic experience, I had committed prior to buying this trailer the homeowners, family, friends actually, family, knew that I was going to have a trailer, and I committed to bringing a generator home, a generator that I had no idea what size it was, but they wanted to bring a generator home for their kids, and I just couldn't say no. You know, it was something that I could do. Well, after outfitting it this way, when I got down there, realizing that generator had no place to go in this trailer in its iteration. So at the end of the job, right before we left, I actually had to tear this complete side out. Everything came out. I did save the level garage, but all the rest of the lumber actually got tossed in the dumpster that was being picked up that day. It was the last day of the job. So I threw that all away. And then I had enough space where I just packed tools and packed all my supplies in there along with my wife's. And then the generator unloaded. And then, okay, so we're back in town. I offload, take all my tools out. And then at some point, you know, in the near future after that, I was able to then go back in, redesign this a little bit, and then put it back the way you see it. So this is version 1.5. This side didn't change at all, except for the fact that I now have drawers everywhere. All right, so that's the genesis of the entire trailer. Let's go ahead and do as quickly as I can. I'll do a deep dive. I'll open a few things up as deep dives do, just to show you some level of organization, because I find that fascinating with other videos. So again, I'm adding my mix. Okay, let's start right here at the end, and I'll start on the right, and we'll just go more or less kind of counterclockwise. So let's go back to here. So here I have my vertical tool garage, and this is my large tool garage. These are my largest 2 tools. I had to do a vertical tool garage because my aisleway it's less than 2 feet. It's like 23 inches. And so to have these tools side by side and then to pick them up and try and offload them, there was just no way, especially if I had an end on this cabinet. So no way I could do that. Since I could not, I redesigned it and made the cabinet vertical and made it basically just supported on 2 sides. And then realizing, of course, I needed a horizontal or a vertical support just to support this open kind of hanging shelf system, I was able to put that on. And this is my only non-passive restraint. So this bar here, the support, has a screw up top and a screw down bottom, or a screw in the middle, and that is 1.5 inch or 1 5/8 drywall screw. And my screw guns live right there, and also up here on a magnet I have a screwdriver, so I'm always able to really quickly just take those 2 screws out enough to where I can pull this piece, set it off to the side, and then the tools can come right out. So that is not a real big deal, and that is my only, I should say I have 2. That is non-passive. And then up here, if you see the track saw that runs all the way down, which is a relatively new purchase, I bought ratcheting clamps for that. And so that's the other non-passive, if you will. But that comes out quickly, but I had nowhere else to put that, and that's the only way I can support it. So anyway, that's it. Everything else is the classic Ron Paulk passive style, and this is certainly based off of Ron Paulk's SMART trailer. Okay, well, let's dive in then. You see all of this going, and so let's start at the bottom. This level garage was original to the 1.0 trailer. I liked it so much that I actually did keep that cabinet and then reused it, and it was pretty much right in the same spot. So here's one of my deep drawers that I was able to build in the 1.5 version. You can see that everything is labeled. It reminds me, honestly, if I look up here And you see all of these labels on the yellow and black. So it reminds me of the old 60s Adam West Batman show with Burt Ward, that everything was labeled in the Bat Cave. Bat this, bat that, you know, bat computer, bat toilet paper, whatever it was. So this reminds me of that, except I don't have, you know, any kind of leader onto like the bat bolt cutters, but it's just funny. But I like it. I can find anything, and Jen can come in, my wife, and she can find stuff. So here we go. So this is a kind of a 4-foot drawer. And this 4-foot drawer, what do I have in here? Those infamous buckets that you always create on job sites, empty them out, clean them out. So I have a few. Of course, extra paper towels, extra toilet paper. My third hands are in here. If you could see, you know, my third hands come all the way back. Drain snake, don't do much of that. Really, really, really trying to avoid ever using that. But I found that I had to use it a couple times. Dustpan and little small sweep. And then I have my demo tools down in here, so basic demo tools there. And never hurts to have a little bit of extra flatware, disposable flatware, just in case for lunch or something like that. Okay, so that's my deep drawer, one of my deep drawers. And over here, kind of a nod to the whole sawhorse thing. I have actually two brand new well, it's not brand new now, but I have two newer sawhorses that extend out and have adjustable legs to them. So I'm really happy with those. Those are pretty rugged. They're like $40 a piece though, so I have just two. Here are some sacrificial strips. There are some extra fence extenders, fence protectors for my table saw. I realized a couple of jobs ago that I was missing a few box wrenches. So I went ahead and bought a kit because the kit was honestly less expensive than buying just the individual wrenches that I needed to complete a set. So I just bought the whole SAE set there. And it had such a nice holder that I realized that if I took it out and just put it in a drawer, why not just leave it this way? And so this was like literally the only open space I had, so I put it there. Fortunately, it's on the end of the trailer, so I'll never forget that I have it. Up here, I just have some go-to handy tools. The classic, almost gotta have tape measure rack, you know, so you can see all your tape measures, both metric and standard. And then I have my speed squares, the 12-inch and both kind of a 6 and a 7-inch. Framing squares, I have 3 of them. The relatively new purchase is the Stanley yellow and black. I'm starting to really dig this yellow and black, although I've been a DeWalt guy for years, but I like the Stanley stuff. So those were relatively new purchases, and I purchased them because of the color. Other than that, bevel tees, got a small, this might be one of my dad's actually, now that I think about it, but just a small 1-foot framing square, and that's actually held up there by magnets. Well, before I leave and start going that way, let me look up here. You'll see everything is labeled still. And I have my adjustable T-square, so I have a 4-foot adjustable in there. This is the end of a 2-foot T-square that has, if you can see all those holes in there, it has all those holes that you can put your, you know, a pencil into, or you can actually mark it with your, man, lost my word there, with your utility knife, and you can score. So along with that, this is actually a brand new 59-inch medium track for my track saw. But underneath all of that, back down in here, you'll see that I have a couple of others just kind of fixed 4-foot squares as well. So that's what is up there. I used to have some homemade track saws, and so that's kind of a little bit of a nod to that homemade track saw. I've got to change the label. Okay, well, up here still, you'll also see that I am, because I do not have a total station or anything like that, I am using the long DeWalt miter box stand, and I do have the heavy load support, the T support for the fence extensions. So looking at here, just before we move in, this thing here, which is just simply a very large S-hook put onto an I-hook, this is something that once in a great while I'll actually hang my belt from this. So it just clips in there, and I can actually hang a tool belt right from here as a go-to. I don't like to leave it there, so it's not my fixed place, because it is literally in the way with such a narrow corridor, and I don't have a lot more storage in here. So that's what that is actually, and normally it doesn't live there. Okay, so moving on. Moving on into here, in this particular cubby, which is just kind of a fixed tiny garage, if you will, I guess, just a cubby. This is where I'm keeping 2 Craftsman style pack outs, where I just have all of my PEX fittings. So let me pause here, and I will actually just open up a container, because again, it's a deep dive, so I'll try and show you some insides of some containers. Okay, so just showing some insides of containers. Never bothered to take the labels off these. This is just the 3/4 pecs that I have without any of my cutters or wrenches or anything like that. I use the I do not have a crimper. I found those actual crimpers are very expensive, and I don't do enough plumbing to actually justify that expense. So I use the cinch clamps, and I have had very good luck with them. I've talked with other plumbers who do this stuff full time, and while they may be doing crimping, they have done these and they're not afraid of using these long term. So there you go. I'm going to pause, put this back, and then we'll move on. Okay, back to here. In version 1.0, this was actually just an open cubby. It did not have any shelves, and these things, which are Milwaukee packouts, actually all locked together like the packouts do. And these are just to hold screws. They have all the bins in there for screws and nails and such. And I only had like 4 or 5 of them, so they just simply started at the bottom and stacked up in an open cubby, and then there was kind of a top to the cubby, and then I forget whatever I was storing on top of that. But that's all I did. They locked together, and with the lip down there, they did not actually fall out. They didn't move. They didn't do anything. So I was happy with that. But this way I'm actually able to spread them out, and I was really frustrated because I would put the least used stuff on the bottom, but then I would find I need something out of it, and so I'd have to take all 4 off, get to the bottom one, and then put it all back together and shove it all in. So having them together was just inconvenient, and it was inefficient, to use one of Ron's terms. So here we go, just really quickly in here. It's, by the way, using the passive restraints from the SMART trailer design, where you just have a piece of hardwood in here that actually allows this to flush up, lock behind, and then set down onto, just like that. Then you lift it up, and so it doesn't move. It never comes out when I'm traveling. Okay, so as you saw, everything is labeled here. So these are just finish nails. And I can do this with all of my my pack outs, and even though they're heavy, the shelf supports it. So I've been very happy with that as far as convenience. So just again, quickly to show you some level of organization, of course, just standard galvanized and brights for my finish. Down here I have my interior drywall screws. And a lot of these are missing. Well, actually just 2 are missing, but they are inside. I'm working on my house currently, so this is what I have left. But I have all the major sizes that I could possibly need. Now, one thing I do actually have is behind the packouts, I have enough room to where I can put a little bit of overflow if I end up with an extra box, as long as the boxes are small, that I can do that, and or use some of these plastic containers. Okay, what is this one? This one is exterior screws. So here again, this is fairly heavy, and it is bending down a bit, but actually it supports it just fine. I've never had any issues. And these, if I broke a shelf, it would be easy enough to fix or replace. So anyway, here's just star drive exterior and other exterior screws besides, all in one kit. Normally you can, of course, just take one bin out when you need it. There's a little bit of deep storage back there because I'm limited with my storage. Or you can take the whole pack out with you, of course. The next one is kind of a variety. So here we have some trim screws, truss head screws, sheet metal screws, and wood screws. So just some things in a pack out. So here you go. I won't bother to open this one. You can see that. Oh, well, I'll open it. One thing I've done is I've maintained some labeling, because sometimes I forget what I have. I forget what these screws actually are as far as size, length, or whatever. And while I can determine that fairly quickly with just the label, whether I use the label that came from the packaging or whether I make one, it has actually been very handy to do that, because I'm not in this stuff all the time, especially being a part-time contractor. So what do I have here? Roofing nails, common nails. So this is another fairly heavy one, and that's why it's actually down close to the bottom. Although these shelves, it would support it no matter where it was. So standard nails, no big deal there. I will say, though, that I just completed a job where I did a hidden deck fastening system with about 1,200 feet of decking. And these are the Mantis clips, and then the Mantis screws that came with it. That's why they're in the nail kit, because I had actually empty bins. These things are like 50 cents a piece. If you price them out, they're like 50 cents a piece or 45 cents in a nickel screw, something like that. But it's amazing. So I certainly didn't want to get rid of them. The homeowner didn't need them. I don't know when I'll use these again, and they're enough to probably do a repair job. But still, man, it's pricey hardware. And because you buy them by the case, and the case is like $400, you can't return them. And then down here, Simply what I call Duradyne screws, which are the little tiny hex head screws you use to put eaves troughs together. White aluminum nails, and my Tapcons. And so there you go there. Just the idea of organization is all. Oh, and these little jars, kind of kind of organization within organization. It's a little 4-ounce plastic jar. You have quite a bit of these elsewhere, but this is just for some of the colored, what I call the Duradynes, and then of course just the silver ones. So organization within organization. Okay, so there you go with that. Now if I move over to here, what you'll see is I have the my what I would call, I guess, the small tool garage. And in this small tool garage, if I back up just a little bit, tight quarters with a camera, right? So here is where I have, of course, my charger radio. And I have, of course, labeled, I have a kind of a plumber's hole saw kit. Brand new Forstner kit that's not labeled anywhere, but it's obvious as to what it is. Brand new for this. This is my kind of an old Ryobi kit that I bought for $50, and it has like 100,000 bits and everything in it. So I've wanted to keep it. It's kind of half complete now, but I still like it, and I still like the organization. And my goal is always to fill that thing back up again. So maybe one of these days. And then way back in there is my laser level. I have over here like an extra hat, an extra sweatshirt, and then towels, plastic, and some drops. So it's not much, but that's what I have there. Okay, looking down here, here is basically for me, it's all things drywall, plus I have nowhere for this little clip lamp, this little halogen lamp, so that's where that's at. Okay, so this is one of those sliding out shelves. I did not build this into a drawer. I could have, but I was trying to keep the weight down, and it's almost a nod to trying to keep the weight down because everything else is pretty much finished. But I was getting towards the end, and I figured, well, I can save a little weight, and it's not going to hurt anything. But otherwise, here's my drywall stuff. I do a decent amount of drywall when it comes up, mostly patch repair, but I do rooms and remodels too. So sanding sponges, my knives, some patch kits for those times, and then the various tapes. Down here is kind of a mixed bag. So I have cabinet stuff, picture hanging kit that I assembled, and door jigs. So I'll pull this out. But this one, I'm going to pause and I'll actually show you inside really quickly. So let me pause. Okay, so here we go. This is, I used to have a stack of 3 of these Craftsman packouts. Looks like that. And it was a Christmas gift. And the only one I was actually able to use, because I've gone away from the box system for most everything, is this one right here, because all of my cabinet and trim stuff could fit in there. So like my crown molding holders, just a simple jig there. There's my pony clamps for hanging cabinets. I've got some other material in here, like here are the miter clips that you can use to assemble crown molding and trim, baseboard, all of that where you have outside 45. So that's that, and with the wrench. Down in here I got a couple of profilers. I've forgotten what all I have. I got some of the cabinet the screw placement jigs. And then in here I have various cabinet screws of different sizes, like so. These are trim screws of various sizes as well, and different colors, and so just really nice way to organize that and just grab it and go. Here I have a picture hanging kit that I assembled. I end up hanging a lot of pictures. It's amazing what people will honestly pay you for. Changing out light bulbs is another one. I'm just fascinated with that one. But this is just a picture hanging kit, and also some drywall anchors and things like that for other purposes. But basically everything you would need to hang a picture, except for a hammer. I used to have a hammer in here, but the kit outgrew the hammer, so the hammer had to go. So there you go there. And then this is my door handle jig, I guess. Or my door handle box. And so I have like my knuckle bender. Thank you, Ron, for recommending that tool from FastCap. Been very happy with that. Then I have anything related to drilling out doors and such. A little bit of organization here. So it looks like I have longer hinge screws in case I have to adjust hinges. Probably a couple of different colors in there allowing for. So this is the kind of thing I have. This bag right here, which sits on top, are the old pulleys from the old double hung single pane windows. So when I go to change out sash cords, things like that, if I have a broken pulley, I actually have some old pulleys that I can make the repair with. I'm going to pause, put this all back together, and move on. And so that's that complete shelf right there. Now, here is, I mean, if I didn't do anything else in this trailer, this is what fascinates me the most, and it's what fascinates me when I saw Ron's trailer with all the viewtainers and with a drawer, and that I've seen in several other trailers now, because I swear if there's a trailer video out there, I have watched it over the past 3 years, or past, I'm sorry, year and a half, because I've only had this a year and a half and only been interested in trailers. So anyway, here is my dun-dun-dun-dun-dun hardware store. Okay, so there we go. I was unable to afford, after buying all of this stuff, I was unable to afford the viewtainers. I just couldn't find them at a reasonable price. But I did find these little plastic jars with metal lids, and they're under $1 a piece. These are the 4-ounce. I could find them in the 8-ounce. I think the Nova Link is the name of the company, but I am finding them on Amazon. And so you buy them, you know, 20 at a time, 40 at a time, and they're very inexpensive. And wow, I've just been appreciated. So this is it. You know, here's all the little things that I had scattered everywhere that I was able to finally pull together, and now I know where it is. And consistently, I am labeling things. So I know they're acorn nuts, but you know, I'm labeling all of this. Set screws down in there, and so forth. Sometimes some things are obvious, like shelf pegs, but you know, others are not as obvious as far as size or length. So here's my hardware store, and I'm very impressed, and this has saved my bacon more than a few times, having just those few little screws that you need, or washers that will do the job. And man, I was always struggling to have washers on a job. I just never remembered to have them, or couldn't find them when I thought I had them. And so here they are. Here's all kinds of two rows of washers, and I have room to expand. There's a lot of empty jars in here that I can actually go a lot deeper back. Okay. Now, next drawer down is also a little bit more hardware store. So I do have 3 of these that I was unwilling to get rid of, just as far as those little sorter kits. And here I have these are you know, sheet metal screws of various sizes that just, you know, didn't require me to do anything else with them. Pan heads, and then anything that would be kind of a bolt related. I found these. These are just door stops. Found them. Didn't realize I had so many of them, so there you go. These are the type of ratchet clamps that I bought to actually suspend my track saw right up above me. Some concrete anchors that I did not need on a job. Velcro, zip ties. Very, very happy with both of those drawers. Next drawer down. Let's see, belt sander paper, tape, shims, safety glasses, and gloves. So here's the drawer. There's just what tape that I do have, other than like electrical. I had more sandpaper in here, so that's why the the steel wool is in here. I do have some sandpaper for the belt sander right in the back there. Shim cutter jig made from some plan online. It might have been Ron's. And then some shims that I cut and shims that I bought. Some vacuum parts, safety goggles, of course, cloth gloves, all kinds of cloth gloves, and then all kinds of latex gloves besides, and a little bit of shoe booty. Gotta love the shoe booty. And hearing protection. I can't hear anything. Compliments of the military, compliments of people in Iraq who didn't want me in their country, kept blowing things up around me, so my hearing is not as good as it used to be. So, caulk guns, spackle, scrapers, trash bags. Okay, so standard caulk. I want to redo this, actually. I want to make this little holder here, which actually does really well to keep them from sliding forward, but of course the next layer up does. So I want to make that a little bit taller with a couple of slot openings to allow the tips to go through. That will actually hold that, and probably all the way up to where I could actually have that several deep. Other than that, I got 3 or 4 caulk guns in there. Why? Because you always forget your caulk gun, and thus the reason for this trailer, so I never forget the caulk gun again. And then a little bit of painting stuff, a few random putty knives, scrapers, and then trash bags, and then just random plastic bags and some spackle, I believe, in there as well. Now this trailer, when I bought it, I finally said, you know, once I got it organized, hey, you know, I'll have all my tools with me, and, you know, I'll never forget a tool again. That'll be so cool. Let's see, where am I at here? So these are kind of specialty tools down here in this very bottom drawer. I don't get into this bottom drawer often. So what I did was I, you know, loaded it up, went out of state for that job last year. When I got there, I was a week into the job, unloading something out of the trailer, came in here to get a caulk gun, and I literally forgot the caulk gun. It was my mantra. Oh, I'll never forget anything, especially the caulk gun, the utility knife, all these things we forget. And I forgot the caulk gun. It was funny. Oh, man, I laughed so hard about that one. And I went and bought another one. So I had 5 sitting at the house. I now have 6. 3 are now in this trailer. So with the specialty tools, because I just got done with that decking job, I have a camo tool that's pretty new. Otherwise, I have some siding tools, some rescreening tools, like a spline tool and all of that. A couple of extra, looks like chalk boxes. Some overflow, just small quantities of roofing nails, small framing nails, and large 16-penny framing nails. And this is the other kind of the camo screws that go with that system. Otherwise, all things string, and way back in the back is just some additional siding tools. Okay, there we go. Now, to complement the hardware store is this. So, at the end of this cabinet, I actually had some space, kind of like Ron in his Smart trailer, where he had a place to do an extra viewtainer shelf at the end. You know, just some usable space. Me too. So, because I don't have any deep storage or anything. So, when I did mine, I did it a lot wider than just a viewtainer storage, and this is what I did. So, I have, you know, all of these labels all the way down. So let's go around the corner and see exactly what that is. And also a coat hook. All right, so here you go. So then what you get is another hardware store with larger quantities. So this is kind of like intermediate quantity size, I guess, because these are now 8-ounce jars. And there are some 16-ounce that you can buy. So all of these things up here, starting small, getting bigger, probably number 6 is down here, and probably number 6, 1/2 inch. Number 6, 1/2 inch, self-drilling. Excellent. So these are all going to be some permutation of self-drilling. Down here, likewise, starting at number 6 and the smallest, all the way up through. You know, and I don't have everything of here. You know, that's what hardware stores are for. But this is all the stuff that I've accumulated. And so these are all wood screws. Down here are various types of construction screws that I didn't have a place for anywhere else. So, you know, things like stainless screws. I've got a couple of boxes that just hadn't made it into containers yet. So these are all various types of construction screws. To include, if this is the one, let me show you this. Set that there. Back in here, old screws, you know, coming out of whatever. And I've been collecting those, and this I don't have a bunch, but I have enough. You go into an old house, and all of a sudden you have to replace a screw, and it wants to look like a period screw. Well, I have period screws. You know, clean them up, of course, but there you go. Down here, I have basically just some sheet metal all the way down through, and some pan head over there as well. So pan and actually just all pan head, and then my Craig stuff. Here are my Craig screws for pocket hold drilling. Down here would be nails, so various types of specialty nails. You're going to see siding nails. You're going to see some overflow nails here as well. Paneling nails, a couple of different colors, etc. Here is my overflow, because I don't have really anywhere for overflow to go except this with the small trailer. So here's overflow screws, probably screws only. Screws and nails down here. And then down here is just some chemicals, some glues, looks like great stuff. And some empty containers down there, and my chalks. So moving back up, I have a 60-volt blower from DeWalt. Love that thing. Various extension cords, so that's where most of all of them hang. I've got one other one besides the reel that is not up there. Looking at the ceiling, I've been able to take advantage of the rafters, because I do not have a drawer to put any of these in, so all of my clamps are up in the rafters, including some of the C-clamps. These are brand new. These clamps actually work very well with my Paulk bench, because they have the type of nose that'll go in through the bench dog holes. Those are for track saws. Ended up with 2 kits. I don't know how. They're the DeWalt ones, and then just some clamps up there.